Hi there, I'm Dalton Ruer. I'm a Master Principal Solution Architect here at Qlik. I'm continuing my series on Qlik and Snowflake Cortex, and specifically I'm walking you through Cortex AI-SQL. In the two previous videos I did for this series, I explained what is possible, and I walked you through a mind-blowing demonstration of how it works. Well, somebody ended up tapping you as the technical resource in the group to actually make it happen. So in this third video of this series, I'm going to walk through and make sure that you know exactly how to build it so that you can utilize Snowflake's Cortex AI-SQL from within your application. There isn't really a whole lot more to show you about how to add calls to Cortex AI-SQL in your Qlik Talent Data Integration Pipeline. The demo and video series number 2 showed exactly how to do that, and it's pretty much just a drag, drop, select, paste in your SQL code. Not really a big challenge there. So in this video, instead, I'm just going to focus on how to call the Snowflake Cortex AI-SQL Complete functionality from within your Qlik Sense applications. Now, as the dual arrows here suggest, there's really two different ways to do that, and I'm going to walk you through both of them. The first architectural approach is that you do a partial reload. So your users can ask questions, but nothing gets fired until they press the button. When they press that button, then you will simply use Qlik's partial reload functionality in order to do that right within the same load script. So the same way that you would call Snowflake in a load script to load the data, you can call that Cortex Complete functionality as part of your SQL connector. You simply have to pass it what you're asking, right? No big deal. Now, I've already created a YouTube video for you if you're not familiar with how to use a partial reload. So there's a little bit of technical work there. Simply go to this YouTube video where I'll walk you through how to set up a partial reload, how to make sure that you're loading the data the correct way for that. The big advantage of this is that nothing happens in Cortex unless the user presses that button. So it's not going to be refiring as they might be making lots of filter selections. So this might be the right approach for you if you know that your screen will have a lot of filtering, a lot of options, or other variables that they might need to use. So the other great thing about this approach is that you can absolutely do this from within any of your Qlik environments, whether it's QlikView, Qlik Sense Enterprise on-premise, or Qlik Cloud. You're good to go because all of them can do partial reloads and all of them can talk to Snowflake. And like I said in all of my previous videos, Cortex SQL, AI-SQL, is a SQL wrapper around AI. So easy to go there. The second approach is the one that I'm going to be focusing on depth for you in this video. And because it's probably new to you, it's going to be using a Qlik automation to fire the SQL call as an advanced analytics connector, which you may or may not have seen before. So when I did my demo, whether I pressed the button, whether I made a model change, or whether I made a selection in my application, behind the scenes, it was firing one of these script eval strings that is an advanced analytics connector. Now, the advantage to doing it the way I showed you in the video is that it is responsive to everything going on the screen. Whether they asked a new question, whether they pressed the button, whether they chose the model, whether they made changes, the answers represented what was on the screen. So they were never going to take a screenshot and show somebody something that wasn't run, right? And that is a big thing, right? You would not want this where they could take a screenshot maybe and show, oh, look, I've got this filtered, but it gave me these answers, and that's not even part of my filter selections. Well, you don't know whether they pressed the button before they took the screenshot or not. So this way ensures that. Just a minor thing, but you might want to consider that. So before I begin, I don't want to freak you out as I show you on the screen, so I want to help you understand ahead of time. In this approach, I am passing both the question as well as the data. Now, I don't mean all of the data. I could have millions or billions of rows. I'm passing aggregates of the data along with the question, and I want you to understand why. There's several different reasons. One is that I want to ensure its security. If Sally Sue asks a question or she has data on the screen, she's only seeing what section access allows Sally Sue to see. So Sally Sue's only ever going to get an answer based on what Sally Sue's allowed to actually see. I'm not going to return information about the West sales if Sally Sue should only see the East sales. So that's a good thing. The other one is that you know what the answers are that are in there then, right? I've aggregated it based on your master measures because I want to ensure that you're going to get the right version of truth for the application you're in, right? You could aggregate, you could have master measures with different 85-line nested ifs based on the app that you're in, because it might be a financial version or it's an ER version or it's an overall admin version, right? And each application might have different versions of the truth. And you want those things honored. There is no single source of truth necessarily for your entire organization. So when you're asking questions out of one app, you might get one answer. When you ask it out of a different app, you'll get a different answer because you're using your master measures and your dimensions. The other thing that I think is important is that you can honor roles. If a big cheese asks a question and a little cheese asks the same question, they should not necessarily get the same answers, right? If it's a big cheese and I'm doing this like for Mike Capone, I need to aggregate this up at a global level or a unit level that they're responsible for. I don't want them to necessarily see 85 other dimensions and measures that they don't have control over anyway, right? So those roles can be honored because I could change how I aggregate it based on their role. The other thing is by honoring their roles, maybe they're finance or maybe they're legal or maybe they're sales, and I want to use a different set of master measures for those folks to make sure that a finance person sees the finance version of the truth versus a salesperson who might be coming in with it and they need to see the pipeline version of the truth. So very minor little things, but things that you absolutely should think of. Now, by passing that in, the other thing is they might have data that's not even in Snowflake, right? Your Qlik app, if you've been doing this for a long time, you could have data from a whole bunch of other sources, and as you're moving that data and you're building pipelines to move that into your Snowflake so that you can get scale, that's fantastic. But until you get it all there, you still might want to ask questions about that data. The final thing that I'll show you as I show you how to implement an automation for this is that you can control anything else you want to do. Maybe there are some other things you want to do, and I'm going to show you those. So hey, let's go ahead and get going here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take a look. I've showed you the screen, I showed you the demo. What we're going to do now is we're going to dig into this box here where I was seeing the results. You can see, hey, I had a variable, this is a layout container, I had the question, blah, 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 and I get this question response. I'm going to go in and edit this object. And if I come here, you'll see that I'm doing this advanced analytics connection. Now, before I go in and show you much more about that, I want to show you that you can just go out and search for this advanced analytics source and right in our help site, and it's going to walk you down through everything. So there's an awful lot of information here, including how you would select the data from that. And if you want to use this in expressions, it's going to walk you through how to build these expressions. I'm not going to get into every aspect of it, but basically you're going to call an endpoint that you've built in your code. And I've got a video out here again. So if you just go watch this video in YouTube, I'm going to show you how to build every step of in your load script, create an advanced analytics connector that talks to one of your automations. And so I show you exactly how to do that. I won't do that here. So let me come back and go into the code itself here. So that is all the information you need to understand how to do this. This is the connector that I'm using. Easy breezy. Then it becomes, hey, now what do you want to pass to that connector? Well, I want to pass it the user ID. So I'm going to get the user ID who's using this, because maybe I want to do something with that, and you'll see in a minute what we might want to do with that. Well, that Snowflake model that I was able to do a drop down and pick, I can pass that. The wonderful thing about our script evals, if you haven't seen this before, is that at the bottom of the screen you can see what it's going to do. So it's going to on the fly fire that, but it's passing. Oh, it was Llama 3-8B that was the model that I had selected on my screen. You'll notice then that I'm saying, hey, I want to pass in a question and say based on the following data. And so then, hey, based on the following data, and you can see now that there's a variable header. Well, I show you the header: division, sales country, sales city, billings, net profit. And that is what I mean by role-based. If I had a more complicated variable to say, hey, if the group that Mike Capone is in here, is a big cheese, right? And I love you, Mike, but I'm just going to call you Big Cheese for today. He's a big cheese. I want to change what these things are aggregated to, and maybe I don't need the city. I just want our divisions and our countries, because he knows he's got people around him that are, almost big cheeses, but they're medium cheeses. And he's going to call them and say, hey, your country isn't doing well. Help me understand that. Right? Because he knows those people have much more understandings of the cities within them or the regions within them, etc. And you get the idea. Right? Just like I could pass billings and net profit, those are high-level master measures. Right? Those are just aggregates at those levels. And if it was a medium cheese, maybe I need to pass cost of goods sold, and I need to pass other measures as well. So again, those roles then can control the headers as well as the data that's being passed. So when I do the aggregates of these master measures, I'm able to aggregate them at whatever levels I need. So you're going to see, hey, I want to pass in the header, and then, oh, by the way, I need to pass in the fields, and then what my aggregation levels would be. And that's it. I pass that as the prompt. So I'm going to call an automation where I get that information passed into me. Easy breezy. That automation that I'm using here, you'll see this is when you create yours for your company. You're going to call it Cortex for SQL 1 or whatever you're going to do. But each one of these, if you go to the start, you're going to say that it's triggered, and it's going to give you the information that you need to create that advanced analytics connector. Again, I walk you through all of that in this video, exactly where to pull the information, how to create that advanced analytics connector that calls it. So anyway, it calls it, and I pass in, as you can imagine, the model to use. I showed you that, and the prompt. The prompt included the question as well as the data that you saw how that gets prepared. And, oh man, that's right. I remember the Cortex AI-SQL is a SQL wrapper for the AI. And all I do here is call a Snowflake do query. That's it, right? Select Snowflake Cortex Complete. And when it comes back, go get me the answer. This isn't rocket science, right? It literally is a SQL, and I get the response, and that's the output that ends up coming back, and then that is what gets visualized right on my screen. Ta-da! Right? There you go. There's your answer. Now here was the other things that I mentioned. You might want to do other things. Well, I could call and get responses, But as I'm trying to train my staff and I'm trying to enable them to be really intelligent in an AI world, I want them to be critical thinking of answers. And maybe I want to go ahead and I want to audit both the question, the user, and the answer. And I keep an audit trail of that because I want to find out who is saying, give me the number of billings, give me the number of divisions, and the basic questions that are already in the business intelligence solution, right? They should be able to get that. But maybe I see those people who are saying, hey, help me understand the relationships between these. Help me learn things I didn't even know, right? One of the best ways to use Cortex Complete is to think of it as the smart people in other cubes or offices within your group, right? The things that you would get up, go down the hallway and say, hey, man, I know you're a genius. I know you know this really well. Help me understand these things. Help me think differently. Those are the questions I'd love to see users asking. So I could do that. Now, I might say, nah, you know what? I don't just want an audit trail. I want to be able to have a feedback loop. So maybe I use one of our, Qlik write back partners like Infinity, and I want to insert it and edit it so that it would be an audit trail, but then I can have an Infinity form on my screen, right? Imagine the ability if I could scroll down here and then down here is a form. Hey, Sally Sue, what do you think of that answer? Hey, Mike, what do you think of that answer? Could I have been more thorough, right? And then they can type their feedback like, hey, this is pure conjecture. Hey, I've done the research. This is fantastic. Man, I really loved this answer. It gave me insights into things I couldn't even see on the screen. Or, hey, the answer it gave me suggested this, and it told me that maybe cost of goods sold could be a reason why we're not making profit on brown ale. And I don't see cost of goods sold data in the application. Can somebody get that added for me? Right? And so I can use that automation then to do lots of other things besides just getting the answer. Just getting the answer is the starting point. Then it starts becoming how you're going to use this as a loop to make sure that you're using this Cortex AI-SQL functionality and you're training people to be well enabled to be critical thinkers of using AI answers within their BI solution. Well, I hope that this has all helped you, and I sure hope that you have a great day.